Hello. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of September. Just waking up, but I'm going to try to do this, and maybe it will help me wake up. Cheers. Someone sent me some coffee beans recently. It didn't say who. Thank you. But I must tell you that the beans that you sent me, I don't like the flavor. The coffee that I prefer is pears cinnamon nut swirl. The kind of beans that you sent me, the taste is real oily. I don't like it. But thank you. Thank you. Someone asked me, I get asked a lot of things, and I just ignore a lot of requests because I'm just not going to become a request bound video maker, because that won't be any fun. That will suck to just, we do this, we do this, we do this. Do any of you ever remember a time in your life where you did that, maybe as a child or a young person, or just as a person in general, where you found yourself getting stuck responding to people's requests all the time? It sucks. So that's why I generally don't do it. Someone mentioned the name Jan Garbarek recently, and I let it roll in my head, and then I started to look in my collection. I said, well, I do have Jan Garbarek, so I haven't talked about his music, I don't think, ever really, maybe in passing. So, well, now that I look, yes, I have talked about him, but I will, because Jan Garbarek is a saxophonist from Norway, and it came to my attention first through being exposed to ECM records. And I'm happy to say that I got exposed to ECM records in the early days, in the early 70s, when the label was still quite cutting edge and avant-garde. And so it seemed like for a time Jan Garbarek was like a household, it's like he was on almost every other record being released by ECM. That wasn't true, but he's been on a lot of their records, and so I have his work. I do rate Jan Garbarek. I got to a point where I started to get tired of him because I was hearing so much of him. But in his youth in particular, he was a very fiery player. Fiery. Here is one of my favorites by him, Afrique Pepperbird. This is old. This is one of the first releases, number 7. This is the 7th album to come out on the ECM label. Terry Ripdahl, or Terry Ripdahl, however you say his name, is also from Norway. So he and Garbarek go back. I think they worked together in the band Dream. This is really an intense, fantastic album where it's moments of free improvisation, and then the ensemble playing on the compositions. It's just fantastic. This is the title track, Afrique Pepperbird, from this is just excellent. So that was, I think that was my introduction to Jan Garbarek. Some other early recordings of his that I have that I still rate highly is Sart. This one with Bobo Stenson, Terry Ripdahl, Arnold Anderson, John Christensen. It's like these guys were almost like the house band of ECM for a time. But this is, I just played this yesterday. Intense. This is the real deal. And, it shows why Jan Garbarek was highly regarded at ECM. His playing is very, very intense here. The same for this album. I had a copy, sold it, and then someone very kindly sent me this copy of when they upgraded theirs, Triptychon, with Edward Vesela. really strong, real. The word fire, it's like it's not messing around, you know. This is not lounge music, this is real. Another early recording that introduced me to his playing was him on this George Russell album, Electronic Sonata for Souls Loved by Nature. And this was recorded back, I think, in like 1971. It was on Strata East, a collectible label. I've had this for a long time, and this includes that group, Jan Garbarek, Terry Ripdahl, John Christensen, but also with Manfred Schuth and Red Mitchell and George Russell. This is really intense. This is one of my favorite jazz albums. Electronic Sonata for Souls Loved by Nature. Love this album. Jan Garbarek did a lot of work with has done a lot of work with Keith Jarrett. I don't have all those records, but this is one that stands out to me. Belonging. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The cover photograph with the balloons in the water. Perfect. Perfect for the music. Highly recommend this. I'm really, the words aren't coming to me this morning to describe this music deeper. It's just wonderful. Heartfelt music. Another excellent Bobo Stenson with Jan Garbarek, Wichita Toe. This is when things are really popping to my ears, when Jan Garbarek is still, well, he probably never lost it. I just like got to a point where it's like, okay, I've heard enough of him. This wasn't it. I'll show you one where I'm thinking, okay, I don't know why Jan's on this album. So honestly, this is a Zakir Hussain album with John McLaughlin and Hari Prasad Chaurasia making music. To my ears, the least enjoyable part of this album is Jan's playing. The flute player, the contrast in timbre between the flute and Garbarek's saxophone on here is jarring. For my ears, it's too much, and would have preferred if he hadn't played on this at all, to be honest. That's an example. Mostly Jan Garbarek, because he's so versatile, he adds a lot to the things that he plays on. Here's a good example of his album Folk Songs with Egberto Gismonti and Charlie Hayden. Wonderful. And no, his records don't all sound the same. They don't. I'll just keep going. Here's an early one. And I have two copies because here's my original that I bought. Ralph Towner's Solstice. And bought this back when I first moved out of home, out on my own at 19. And I lived with one of my friends from high school and his girlfriend, and they had a big English wolfhound that ate everything. When I came home from work and saw this and my other records, I was so pissed. But it's a German, and the German version versus the American pressings, I say, are very desirable of ECM records in general. So I kept this because the record plays, but then when I had a chance to replace it, this is an American, but you know, the cover's in great shape. Once again, this is a date where Jan Garbarek's playing ads. He and Eberhard Weber and Ralph Towner, they worked together very well on the Solstice standout album. That one is wonderful. Jan Garbarek's on this Shankar album with Palle Mikkelberg. And this one works pretty well. Vision. Jan's on here, like I said, with Shankar, the violinist, who was with John McLaughlin for a time and with Peter Gabriel as well. So, Red Lanta was Art Land. This is one. I recommend this one with Jan Garbarek and Art Land. Red Lanta. Another really strong one, but not necessarily because of Jan Garbarek, but because of Kenny Wheeler. Dear Juan. Have you heard this one, folks? You know this one? Kenny Wheeler, in particular, is just dynamite on this album. Excellent. These records are a good example of just showing where ECM records don't all sound the same. They have an aesthetic. And Manfred Eicher has said it himself in a few interviews. No, you don't hear overuse of reverb. Most of the records don't even have reverb on them. What you hear is the room and the ambience. This is a good example. Keith Jarrett's Arborzina with Jan Garbarek. Really spacious. The minimalism of the painting on the cover or the photograph. That's the painting. Yeah, captures this well. This might be one of those records where people think that started to think that ECM records all sound the same. This is just beautiful. It's beautiful, but they don't all sound the same by any means. I have to play this one. I don't remember what this sounds like. David Darling, Cycles. Jan Garbarek is on here. David Darling plays cello, an eight-string cello. I love his playing. I haven't played that in a while. With Keith Jarrett, New Dance. Some of these I haven't played in a while, so I can just show them to you, but I do appreciate, and if you have not heard the playing of Jan Garbarek, I do recommend him. I thought I had more by him solo, like the one Dis or DAS or DYS. I thought I had that, but I was looking, I can't find it. But here's one, Aftenland, with an organist, fellow playing pipe organ. Aftenland. This is good. This one is good. Jan Garbarek's Wayfarer. Once again, one I have to play. It's been a while. A few more. Yeah, Jan Garbarek, like I said, he was almost like a household name to me on ECM records. Here's a sampler, music with 58 musicians. It's a sampler of the ECM label, and of course Jan Garbarek is all over this. Here he is with Charlie Hayden and Egberto Gismonti. Another one, it's like, yeah, Magical. Good name for this album, Magical. I've never seen Jan Garbarek play, but I've got to see Egberto Gismonti and Charlie Hayden play live. I met Egberto Gismonti. Fantastic musicians. Another album of Egberto's with Jan Garbarek on it. This I recommend. Sol do Meio Dia. And Gismonti, another just amazing musician. Gary Peacock. This one I got not that long ago cheaply, and I need to get familiar with this one. But he's on here with Jack DeJohnette. Paradigm. Voice from the Past. Jan Garbarek on here. Here's another album where Jan Garbarek really wasn't needed, in my opinion. Bill Connor's guitarist of Mist and Melting. The cover captures the mood of this album well, but it could have done without Jan's playing, in my opinion. Honestly, didn't need Jan on this album at all. And then while I was pulling those records, I started to pull some old ECMs because the early ECM records are all pretty unique. The label started out fantastic. One of my favorite records on the label is this one. Ralph Towner with Glenn Moore, trio solos. This has a couple of my favorite tracks. Desert Island Songs. Ravenswood and Reach Me Friend. The last two songs on this album, there's been many times where I'll just sit and it'll just like everything stops until this music is done because it just touches me so. It always touches me. I just love it. Terry Ripdahl, early solo album, probably his first solo album on ECM. The 16th release on the label. Yeah, Jan Garbarek's on here. I love love this album. Thought I'd show just a couple more old ECM records that he's not on, but these are early ECMs that I highly recommend. This is the 12th release on the label and it's by Bobo Stinson. Underwear. Pardon me in my pronunciation with my. Oh, I love this album. Love this album. This is amazing. This album. This is very, very out there. Marion Brown's Afternoon of a Georgia Fawn. This is really amazing. Which one is it? This is the 4th. I used to have the first album on ECM by Mal Waldron. I don't really understand why I sold some of the records I sold. This is amazing. This is a must-hear. Gene Lee on voice. Wow. Wow. Marion Brown's Afternoon of a Georgia Fawn. This is. Wow. This is amazing. This is the second album to be released on ECM Records, Just Music. Improvised. Alfred Harth, who's a friend of mine on Facebook. We do interact. Put the script together. This one is sought after by collectors. Wolfgang Downer's Output on ECM. This is wild. Yeah, this is great. With Fred Bracewell and Everhard Weber. Which one is this? This is an early one. Where's the number? Number 6. Wild cover. And then early Paul Bley. Number 10, Paul Bley Ballads. The 10th one. 10th release on ECM. Great label. I mean, they have thousands, I believe, of releases, so I can't endeavor to collect them all, but I do have a fair amount of ECM records because I like what the label is about. Solo piano, Open to Love, Paul Bley. If you don't know his playing, you always know it's him. He has a distinct style, like Keith Jarrett, like Cecil Taylor, like McCoy Tyner, like the greats, all the greats. When you hear them play, you know it's them. The way they touch the piano, the way they say things, okay? So that's what I want to share with you today. I have other stuff. I was playing some Tuxedo Moon last night. Dark, but great band. Oh, okay, yeah. I was playing some Bowie live at Coliseum, Nassau Coliseum, 1976. He was in good voice that night. And this was a record I thought maybe I was going to trade, but no, this is good. Truck. Hard rock mixed with country. A lot of good songs. Andy West, I think, was the primary songwriter. I don't know what else he did, if anything. Truck. This is a good album. Okay, folks. I'll talk to you soon. Really, what else can I say? You know, the weather is just out of control. There's nothing I can do for the folks on the East Coast, the Bahamas. Just hope everyone survives.